Got really quiet. Not ready. 30 more seconds. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Multnomah County Board of Commissioners. Chair Vega Peterson is excused. She's doing business in DC, I believe, for us. Audience members, I want to start by asking you to please silence your electronic devices. I would also like to remind you that in addition to the audience in this room, we have people watching and listening online, so please consider your language and comments and testimony today. Today's meeting is a hybrid board meeting. Some presenters and guests will appear in person and some will appear virtually. For those presenting virtually, please mute your mic when not speaking, and when presenting, make sure to unmute your mic and turn your camera on. For those joining us in person to provide public testimony or present, please turn your mic on when you begin speaking and off when you've completed your remarks. For all presenters, please state your name for the record before speaking or responding to questions. We will now hear public testimony. Emily, I will hand it off to you.
Opportunity for public comment on non-agenda matters. This is a time for the board to hear public testimony, not for board deliberation. When it is your turn to speak, I will call your name and unmute you or call you to the presenter's table. I will set a timer for 3 minutes when you begin speaking and announce when your time is up, at which point please wrap up your sentence. We have 6 people signed up for verbal testimony and received 1 written testimony which was shared with board members and staff. We'll start with in-person testimony. First we have Jackie Vondros.
We're going to have 4 people come down to the presenters table. It's going to be Jackie Vondros, C. Bondurant, John Gramstead, and Barbara Spears.
Good morning.
Hello.
If you just push the red button at the bottom of the mic there.
Hello. My name is Jackie Vondros, and I'm a student at Portland State University and someone who is recovering from chronic homelessness. I am here today to urge you to suspend the focus on overnight shelters and redirect those funds into providing housing that is not predicated on sobriety. Homelessness response in Multnomah County has recently focused on the building of overnight shelters, and some of these shelters, like the Grand Recovery Shelter, require sobriety. There are good intentions behind this push for more sober overnight shelters, but in practice, they are not an effective resource for helping people get off the street. 4 of Portland's 5 overnight shelters have occupancy rates below 40%, and sober shelters consistently have occupancy rates lower than other shelters. If we want to give people the tools that they need to live fulfilling and productive lives, we first have to meet them where they are. We have to recognize that most unsheltered people battling addiction will not be able to put in the work to get sober unless they have their basic needs met, and these include housing. Today, I have been sober from heroin for over 5 years. I'm a full-time student and care worker, but if sobriety had been a prerequisite to sleeping indoors, then I would still be sleeping outdoors, and I would still be committing crimes to obtain heroin. If we want people who are currently homeless to act with dignity, we will need to first treat them with dignity. And we will need to be brave. You will need to be brave, because there are people who will accuse you of coddling addicts for granting dignity to people regardless of where they are in their recovery journey. But I need you to have the courage to withstand these attacks. I need you to remember that there are plenty of people on the street right now who could benefit as much as I have from the compassion found in this city. I need your compassion. Thank you.
Thank you. And just all for the hand claps, but if we can do this, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is C. Bondurant. I'm a proud trans non-binary femme. a parent, a Multnomah County resident, and a mental health consultant with an LGBTQ+ KSA in direct clinical services. I'm here in strong opposition to the proposed cuts to DCS. DCS provides life-saving prevention and mental health services to children and young people ages 0 to 21, including suicide prevention, early childhood support, school-based mental health, and services for families impacted by gun violence. The proposed cuts eliminate entire programs and disproportionately impact frontline clinical staff. 89% of the positions being cut in DCS are culturally specific KSA positions, including African American, Latina, immigrant and refugee roles, and beyond. Out of approximately 31 cuts in behavioral health, 23 of those are positions in DCS. These are the very positions designed to address disparities and provide culturally responsive care. My position is also being cut. At the same time, the health department leadership is proposing investment in unfilled or duplicate administrative positions. These are positions with salaries ranging from roughly $128,000 to nearly $300,000. I serve as the only LGBTQ+ KSA mental health consultant in the entire county who provides culturally specific training and consultation to staff. My role increases the capacity of every DCS clinician to provide culturally appropriate, evidence-based care to LGBTQ+ youth and families. These services are not abstract. They're often the only affirming support youth receive. Our LGBTQ+ youth are scared. They're navigating threats to gender-affirming care, rising hostility, and the very real threat of violence. I urge you to read the data I emailed each of you. Cutting these programs contradicts Multnomah County's stated equity values and disproportionately harms culturally specific staff. These cuts are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. They are therapy sessions canceled, they are safe spaces lost, they are culturally specific clinicians pushed out of public service. In a climate where LGBTQ youth and children of color are under attack nationally, cutting one of the only county systems providing sanctuary is not just short-sighted, it's dangerous. Budgets are moral documents. They tell the truth about what we value. I urge you to protect direct clinical services and invest in the lives of the children you say are a priority. Cutting direct clinical services does not reflect fiscal responsibility. It reflects a decision about whose lives matter. Our youth are watching. Show them they matter. Thank you.
Go ahead and clap. We have plenty of time. We don't have a consent agenda today, so we have plenty of time, but we only have 2 agenda items, so after each person, feel free to applause. Please, welcome.
Ready?
Okay.
Yes.
You're going first?
Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Barbara Spears. I'm a longtime resident of Portland. Commissioners, you are dramatically underestimating your constituents' level of concern for animals. Under your leadership, Aaron Grahek, then an employee of the county's Department of Aging, Disability, and Veteran Services with no animal shelter or animal services experience, was appointed interim director of MCAS and subsequently allowed to appoint herself as director. We have the documentations. Andrew Mathias, a hostile, punitive, cruel shelter manager, has been allowed to arbitrarily kill animals in retaliation or spite. A highly infectious and deadly influenza outbreak was permitted to spread unchecked through the shelter, killing dozens of dogs until a private citizen contacted the state veterinarian who declared an emergency quarantine. Dedicated volunteers who raise legitimate concerns about animal care are fired rather than heard. Hundreds of thousands of dollars donated by the public for life-saving veterinary care remain unused, or worse, misappropriated. After scathing media coverage and intense public outrage, Chair Vega Pedersen launched a $300,000 review in 2023. It produced hollow recommendations, no accountability, and conditions at MCAS have deteriorated further. In response to all of the above, this commission's only solution is an $85 million building, an expensive attempt to hide failed leadership, broken culture, and systemic dysfunction. For years, John and I have fought aggressively for radical reform at MCAS. We are now stepping away from that fight. In late March, we will begin a public campaign to expose this commission's tolerance for the suffering and abuse occurring at MCAS. At the same time, we will dedicate our time, energy, and resources towards finding and electing competent, compassionate county chair and commissioners who will restore integrity, professionalism, and commissioners who will restore integrity and the highest level of humane standards to this agency. The voters will be on our side.
Thank you, Barbara.
John Gramstead, Gimme Shelter Portland. Barbara and I have been presenting to this commission for almost 20 years, calling for urgent and immediate change at MCAS. We've given you truth, facts, options, opportunities. You have not listened. You're not listening now. We don't care anymore. We're no longer trying to convince you to act. Today, we are here to indict you for not acting. We'll present our truths and facts on other venues and on other platforms. Understand, the current disease outbreak at MCAS and subsequent painful and avoidable deaths of so many animals is the consequence of your indifference, this commission's indifference, the indifference of each and every one of you. And don't bore me with the excuse, we've heard it so many times, that you're new to the board and you didn't know. You know, you've always known. It's your job to know. Like the management at MCAS, however, you just don't care. Did you know the shelter manager and others were absent and the director on vacation while the most serious contagious medical emergency ever at MCAS raged on uncontrolled? It's also on your watch. Why didn't you guys do something? It is your job. For the record, MCAS was not the first to contact the state vet to report a deadly out-of-control virus that's killing dogs at the facility today, causing the state to issue an immediate quarantine. It was animal advocates, the same ones that have been warning you for over a year. Why did they have to do it? Why didn't you do it? We've already proven the current incompetent and unprofessional management at MCAS created this dumpster fire. Auditors, the media, and the public regularly lambasts. What we will prove now is that it is all your fault. All of it. So strap up, people, because the truth is now going to land heavy on your political ambitions. And for Commissioner Brim Edwards, you told Coin News you are a person of urgency and action. So prove it. Fire the director. Fire the shelter manager. And any other entrenched MCAS bureaucrat whose gross incompetence made me have to show up here again today. Stop with the meetings and the big, beautiful reviews. Try action for a change. Frederick O. Douglass once said, it's not light that's needed, it is fire. And we're going to bring the fire. We're out.
Thank you.
Next, we have injured and pissed off.
Morning. I swear my name is Injured and Pissed Off. I asked Google, is Injured and Pissed Off an activist and what else? It responded, Injured and Pissed Off, I spelled it with a capital O as 2 words, is a Portland, Oregon-based activist and police critic known for using that phrase as their legal name. Well, it certainly is my legal name. It isn't just a phrase. While delivering public testimony at city council meetings, here's what else is known about this individual. Public testimony and advocacy, they are a frequent speaker at Portland City Council sessions, often focusing on issues involving the Portland Police Bureau, government accountability, and personal grievances against the city. I got a flower arrangement yesterday from an individual. I'll read the card that came with it. It was real nice flowers. Keep on the great work. Happy to see you looking healthy online at MoCo, Multnomah County Board. Regular board meeting. Again, happy 9th year as injured and pissed off, and they spelled it right. An avid watcher of public meetings. It wasn't signed or anything. I'll provide that for the security people. Going on to this other article, I tell people all the time, don't encourage me. Controversy and style, they are described as a disruptive individual and part of a small group of cop watchers or citizen journalists who often interrupt council sessions with accusations of conspiracy. Now, 7 dog attacks on my service animal. It's against Oregon law to even interfere with a service animal or assistance animal. Saying police accountability, my dog was a real service animal, and his predecessor was an Oregon state assistance animal. That's Oregon laws. Federal law is the service animals. Saying that it was attacked 7 times and then breaking my left hip and fracturing 2 of my vertebrae in my spinal cord, and oh, it's just you mistreating me. Boy, ain't that good.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Samway virtually. It looks like Samway is not here, so we'll call up Shamika Davis.
Good morning. My name is Shamika Davis, and I am the CEO of Us First Oregon. And I'm here today to talk about housing retention services in Multnomah County and in East County. I have been running my nonprofit for 3.5 years. We're on the ground running, and we have ran into so many issues with not being able to receive funding. We have talked to the JOS office. We've given excuses after excuses about how we need to be, our nonprofit needs to be at least 5 years before we can actually get a significant amount of money to be able to help the community. But yet my organization is doing it with no funding behind us. We have drained our 401ks out to help the community. We have done everything in our power. We had meetings with almost everyone. We've gotten promises that never come through, and we are just asking that we have some sort of support behind us. We give the community wraparound services with food. My retention staff is all volunteers, and they carry a caseload of 25 people per caseload. And we have our caseload that are being stayed housed. They're not facing evictions. They're not going through any type of process. They're actually getting work done with them to where they can become a part of society without any problems. I have brought my friend here with me who is a property management. She has over 70 units open. So there really shouldn't be people that are not housed with having support behind them with retention services. We are not asking you guys to take money from the bigger agencies at all, in no capacity. But what we are asking is for support with the ground root organizations that's out here doing the work.
We will now move to R1. R1, resolution declaring the East County Office Building located at 18600 Southeast Stark Street, Gresham, Oregon as surplus, and approving the terms of a lease.
Yeah, great, thank you. Thank you, Emily. And I just want to, typically we don't respond to public testimony, but I do want to say thank you to everyone that came this morning, especially the social workers and the things that you do for our students and families within our communities. Barb and John, I also wanted to flag for you both. We are, thank you for your public testimony that's heard 2 weeks ago. We mentioned to the director as far as setting up a meeting with Anna, who's been here over the last 3 months. You'll be invited to that meeting as well in March to dig into the issues that you have continued to raise over the last few years. So again, thank you for your testimony. It is heard. Appreciate that accountability. And everyone else, this is what this space is for. And to you too, Shamika. We'll move on to R1. Welcome, beyond excited, not only because it's work that's happening in our district. I'm going to hand it off to you both to, oh yeah, we have to move. We have to, you motion, Commissioner Moyer moved and seconded by Commissioner Singleton. All in favor? We don't need that. We need the presentation. We'll move forward. Clearly, it's my first time chairing this meeting. I'm so used to being the last person to vote. So I will hand it off to staff to present. Thank you.
Good morning, Vice Chair and Commissioners. My name is John Ponanen. I'm the Facilities Planner and Space Planning Analyst for Facilities and Property Management, a division of under the Department of County Assets. It's good to be here with you. We're here today requesting surplus declaration for the East County Office Building located at 18,600 Southeast Stark Street and approving terms of a lease. And we'll just wait for that slide deck.
One moment.
Next slide, please. The East County Office Building was originally constructed in 1974 as a commercial garage. It features a slab-on-grade foundation, masonry block walls, and a flat roof. It's comprised of 2,246 square feet on the first floor and a partial second floor space about 377 square feet, totaling both floors 2,623 square feet. Multnomah County acquired the property in May of 2008 as part of the purchase of the East County Courthouse for that construction. Since its acquisition, the building has remained vacant and is currently rated in poor to fair condition. Next slide, please. So the location of the East County Office Building, you see the red marking where the location is. It's on the cross streets of 185th and Stark Street. There's a Taco Bell out front. A Par Lumber is adjacent to it to the east. And there's a parking lot for the East County Courthouse kind of in the middle there. Next slide, please. So this is a view looking east at the East County Office Building. You can see the 3 roll-up garage doors and the mansard roof, which kind of locates where the second floor space is. Next slide, please. Facilities and Property Management has previously assessed potential county uses, and the estimated cost of construction, if performed by the county, was cost prohibitive for programs inquiring about the building. A 2022 repair cost assessment determined the ECOB is in poor condition, requiring substantial investment in major building systems to meet county standards. And at this time, there is no county use identified for this property. Next slide, please. Rockwood Common, a nonprofit founded in 2024, connects neighbors with the skills and tools necessary to improve their lives, homes, community, and environment. Their projects emphasize sustainable reuse and resource sharing models. Specifically, the RC Tool Library provides equitable access to tools and skills, fostering a connected, resilient community. Rockwood Commons seeks to lease the East County office building to revitalize the property for community benefit. The building's location and size are ideal for their planned projects and partnerships, which focus on making the facility operational for tool lending and training. And now I'll turn it over to my colleague, Joy. Next slide, please.
Good morning, Vice Chair Jones Dixon and Commissioners. My name is Joy Heineke. I'm the Leasing Specialist Senior for Facilities and Property Management. It's a division within the Department of County Assets. Following Administration Procedure Fact 3, Multnomah County Facilities and Property Management has determined the space is not needed for use by Multnomah County and is appropriate to be declared surplus. Per Fact 3, the Board of County Commissioners is required to declare the property surplus before it can be offered for lease. Next slide, please. So just some details about the lease. It's about 2,623 total square feet. The commencement date is pending the final lease execution. We are currently working on that. The total lease term is 60 months. The tenant does have the option to renew the lease for 3 consecutive terms of 60 months each. That totals 240 months or 20 years. The lease is gratis, but the tenant will cover all operational and maintenance costs, and they will also be responsible for all operating expenses, preventative maintenance, and repairs during the term of their tenancy. Tenant responsibilities include all systems like HVAC, plumbing, electrical, snow removal, interior maintenance, things of that nature. And then as far as tenant improvement requirements, that will also be the responsibility of Rockwood Common and all of those associated costs. Just a few items of the tenant improvements: roof repair or replacement, mold mitigation, carpet removal, drywall repair, painting, maintenance, electrical repair, and there are a few others, but just to name some. Next slide, please. So following Administrative Procedure Fact 3, Multnomah County Facilities and Property Management has determined the space is not needed for use by Multnomah County and is appropriate to be declared surplus. Also, per Fact 3, the Board of County Commissioners is required to declare property surplus before it can be offered for lease. We are now happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Great. Thank you, John. Thank you, Joy. I believe we have, want to invite President Jason up to share a few remarks, and then we'll hand it off to the board for questions. And then we'll go on to public comment, and then hand it off to the board. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi. Good morning, Vice Chair, Commissioners, staff, and neighbors. My name is Jason Nauman. I'm the co-founder and administrative officer of Rockwood Common. I'm here to tell you firsthand what a tool library can mean to a community member. When I first moved to Southeast Portland with my young family, the Greenlands Community Tool Library provided a volunteer opportunity to meet neighbors, make friends, and serve others. It felt enriching and important to help neighbors as they borrowed tools to improve their homes and yards. I volunteered with Lents for 10 years, and all my children are proud to know me as a tool librarian. I now serve on the steering committee of the National Tool Library Alliance and coordinate the Portland Library of Things Network. Together, we're sharing resources and replicable models to expand tool access and education across the region and the country. Expanding into this building will enable increased access, education, and opportunity that extends far beyond Rockwood. That being said, our focus is serving this community. As a sharing collective, our mission is to extend the life of usable items, and in doing so, expand access to essential tools and skills. As a service provider, we witness a lived experience of neglect and true poverty, interacting with people who have also been discarded prematurely. When the classroom and common spaces of this building are fully renovated, they will be open to community members as a warming and cooling center, a respite from the rain, and a place to connect with others. Rockwood Common has already established partnerships with many community organizations that are working to meet the needs of East County residents. These partnerships leverage our tool inventory to support equity building, repair and workforce development, recycling, reuse, adult and youth arts enrichment, and community gardens, to name a few. This location will allow us to deepen our collaborative efforts so we can better serve community members together across Multnomah County. Finally, whatever your decision today, I'm here to say thank you. This entire organization has been a collaborative project by neighbors, It has been a collaborative effort project by neighbors, businesses, and civic partners since its founding. Multnomah County's responsive and community-focused staff saw the value in our service early. Since December 2024, we've leased an undeveloped parking space on 190th Avenue next to other service vehicles. Facilities, solid waste, and sustainability staff and leadership, alongside Vice Chair Jones Dixon and his team, have been responsive to our requests and feedbacks and to the community needs we're serving. As one staff member said, this unique partnership is government at its best. Together, we can turn this location into a repair and reuse center, a place where resilient, connected communities are built.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Staff, do we have any public testimony?
Yes, Vice Chair, we have one person signed up. Lightning?
I invite Lightning to come up. Thank you, Joy.
Yes, my name is Lightning. I represent Lightning Super, Griffin, Pegasus, AI Lab. One of the concerns I have on this lease is, you said the lease is gratis, so I understand that's nothing. Is that correct? I need to have a clarification when you use those type of words, gratis. I've never used that type of word when I'm talking about a lease or something for rent. It's gratis today. So I want to make that very clear. And also, you stated it's for 60 months, which is 5 years. And did you say there was three-year options at the 60 months? So this would take this up to what, 20 years? And I'm trying to have an understanding why you would do so many options without really understanding if they're going to be a good tenant. I mean, I don't know who this nonprofit is, so I don't have anything bad to say about them, but I'm just saying from a standpoint of a public building, which is we the people's building, I would prefer to have it sold. I would prefer to have it sold, and then the money goes back into services. But what you're doing is you're leasing this property to a nonprofit, my understanding, founded or started in 2024, so it's a new nonprofit. And it's for free. What have you ever given me anything free besides shut down my property on Columbia River Marina with your goon squad, Multnomah County River Patrol? Trying to set me up, having me murdered on my property, coming down in the middle of the night one time so people understand, with their Crown Vic parked at the side of my parking lot, left their doors open with their motor running, and then came to my property, wanted to know if I was there, with their motor left running. And Travis Goldberg knows everything about that when I was being set up. When I walked up my walkway near my dumpster, They were putting a little case on top of my dumpster. I asked these people, what are you doing? They were dressed in khakis. They kind of looked, professional. I said, what are you doing here? You're in my private parking lot. And they said, we're city employees. How about giving me a card? We'll get you one. So they walked out, and I decided to follow them down to the Sextant Tavern. By that time, Multnomah County River Patrol had their pistols pointed right to my face and said, you better back up. I said, why? I'm asking them what they're doing in my property. Said, you better back up right now. And I knew right there and then what was going on. Multnomah County River Patrol. Absolute jokes you are. Cowards.
Thank you. Thank you, Lightning. Any more testimony?
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Emily. We'll move to the board for questions. And Commissioner Moyer, we'll start with you. No questions. Commissioner Singleton.
No questions, just thank you for the presentation. Thank you for sharing your testimony as well. Just a shout out, I love this idea. The North and Northeast Portland tool libraries have been awesome and helped me out as a renter where I didn't want to buy a bunch of tools to take care of the home. So I just really appreciate us looking for opportunities for community benefit. And so this is a great plan, so I'll be supportive. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Singleton. Commissioner Edwards.
I don't have any testimony. I'm very supportive. I love tool libraries, and looks like a great use for the site, so support it.
Yeah, great. Again, thank you, John and Joy, for just for your help, and the rest of staff. Greg, you're here as well. And just want to say thank you again, President Jason, for your persistence. You've been established in Rockwood, I think, since 2024, but the tool library in Multnomah County has been here for way longer than that, to answer your question or to respond to your statement, Lightning. I'm fully supportive. Again, we need the resources, and it adds to the fabric of, as far as building a resiliency within the community, specifically in Rockwood. And now you have a permanent, or hopefully you'll have a permanent home outside of the truck. So thank you again for all the work that's happened. It's been a year, a slug. So it's felt. So thank you again. Thank you both. We'll move on. Move on to the vote. Roll call vote.
Commissioner Moyer?
Aye.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones-Dixon? Oh, sorry. Commissioner Brim Edwards?
Yes.
Vice Chair Jones-Dixon?
Of course. Thank you. Thank you. Passes. Even that.
The resolution is adopted.
We're in training, Emily and I, together, and we made it through. This is the first time. It passes unanimously. Let's move on to R2. Thank you again for your time and for your work over the last year. Congratulations.
R2, resolution establishing Multnomah County's commitment to investigate and provide a plan for how the county can require financial assurances from CEI owner-operators.
May I have a motion? Moved by Commissioner Singleton and seconded by Commissioner Moyer. And we will invite the presenters down. Hayden.
I think we want to say a few words, if that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first? Okay. Commissioners, today we are following up on the briefing we had last Tuesday regarding the resolution related to the CEI hub. Thank you for that presentation. Thank you, everybody who participated in that. I think I'll speak for myself. I was hoping we would have already passed a resolution by now, but as we dug into this work, I think you learn a lot about what you don't know. And so the intention of this resolution is to get us those last important bits of information to then really move forward on an ordinance and get the community heavily involved in how we're going to ensure that Multnomah County can respond in a worst-case scenario at the CEI hub. I want to continue to thank everyone who has helped in this conversation. I'm really grateful to every department who's been asked some very random questions and dug into some areas that we don't normally dig into. I think the work that was done previously by Commissioner Myron and the Office of Sustainability that clearly helped get us here. And although this is just a step forward, it is an important one because I think we're committing to a framework of how we plan to move forward. And I think what's important in this conversation, knowing that we're not the only conversation going on, and I encourage the state to work collaboratively with us because I think absolutely the state has a role here. As the Commission for Multnomah County, we have an obligation to ensure that we are able to fulfill our obligations in an emergency, which is part of the reason why we continue to move forward and continue to advocate with the legislature to please also consider the emergency response and health needs that Multnomah County has related to an emergency. I don't think this is an either or. I hope that we move forward as well as I hope the state moves forward with their approach, taking into account local government needs. So I'll turn it over to Commissioner Singleton, and then we'll review the resolution.
Thank you, Commissioner. I just want to add a couple of points to this. I think it's really critical to acknowledge that we have engaged with both industry as well as advocates as part of our work as commission offices, but it is the appropriate time to turn this over to the experts within the county department structure to really lead us through the next steps so that we get good concrete numbers using data off of Washington's now old data was not super helpful for us. And so this is really that critical next step so that the county can implement something that really helps protect the public health as well as the emergency response, but those ongoing impacts of some kind of release from this facility. I would also reiterate that we really would love for this to be something that happens at the state and protects across Oregon. And there are critical things that local government need, that we need as a county, that have to be a part of that bill. So really hopeful that we can work with our colleagues at the state to get something together, if not for this session, then for the next long session. But in the meantime, we can't stop our work at Multnomah County. So I also want to appreciate our staff, our departments. I see John in the audience here today, who I know has been in the weeds of this for quite some time, and really appreciate you stepping back in and taking over so that we can move some of this forward with your expertise. And lastly, I just want to say that it's not the last step. This is really the next critical piece, and there will continue to be engagement with community, both those most impacted as well as advocates, as well as industry. This is not an intention to make this a siloed county process. It is really going to be about getting to the best product that we can to ensure safety for our community. And thank you. I'll hand that back over to you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, colleagues. Hand it to you, Hayden. Welcome.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioners, hello. My name is W. Hayden Ferris, and I am the Policy Director for Commissioner Moyer. As alluded to, I'll be presenting on the Critical Energy Infrastructure Hub Resolution, also known as the CEI Hub Resolution. I'll be going over what the resolution does and how the resolution language has changed since last week's briefing. Is this better for the back? Yeah, thank you for letting me know. But before I go into those things, I'm going to offer a quick summary of the risks the CEI Hub poses to Multnomah County. I presented on much of this last week, so this is just a recap. The CEI Hub holds more than 90% of all liquid fuel in Oregon, with a maximum capacity of 630 tanks and 350.6 million gallons. There's a 26% chance of a major earthquake in the region in the next 50 years due to the Cascadia subduction zone. And a major earthquake is expected to spill, release, and/or explode hazardous materials stored at the CEI Hub at levels equivalent to the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill. But unlike the BP spill, this disaster would occur in an urban populated environment, and Multnomah County would need to provide immediate response services. So with that in mind, next slide, please. So the resolution's findings acknowledge the health risks posed by the CEI hub's potential to spill or release hazardous materials. It also acknowledges that Multnomah County, as the local health authority, has an interest in protecting these public health risks from CEI hub risks, protecting the public health from CEI hub risks. And it acknowledges that Multnomah County lacks the financial resources to respond to a CEI hub spill or risk, or spill or release. Next slide, please. The resolution resolves to establish policies to assure that Multnomah County has the financial resources to respond to a spill or release at the CEI hub. It convenes the Health Department, Emergency Management, Risk Management, the Office of Sustainability and Purchasing to investigate and determine feasibility of the county requiring financial assurances similar to those in the draft ordinance. And the resolution lists next steps may include, but are not limited to, internal convening of a project team to evaluate the policy options led by the Department of County Management, an assessment of county costs in a worst-case scenario, a request for information of projects available to cover county costs, and a recommendation on implementation, management, and enforcement of an ordinance similar to the draft ordinance. Next slide, please. Since last week's briefing, there have been 2 substantive changes to the resolution. The first is in the locations where we reference the draft ordinance, we clarified so that it is similar to the draft ordinance. The second is in findings, we updated C to describe Multnomah County as the local public health authority instead of the regional public health authority, and we shifted that language to more accurately represent the local public health authority role. Thank you, Health Department, for those recommendations. Next slide, please. And that's it. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, W. Harris. Do we have any public testimony?
Yes, Vice Chair, we have 3 people signed up: Nancy Heiser, Nikki Mandel, and Lightning.
Great. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning and thank you. Vice Chair Jones-Dickson, Commissioners, it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Nancy Heiser. I live in Linton, uncomfortably close to the CEI hub fuel tanks. My message today is we are all in this together. Together. The CEI hub has an appropriate scientific descriptor, a wicked problem. That is one that has many complications and is not solved with a single solution. That means plenty of opportunity for all stakeholders to contribute to reducing dangers. We're deeply indebted to Multnomah County because your officials were the first to become alarmed about the hub. Commissioners Myron and Jayapal, John Vasutinsky, held town halls to hear residents and express their commitment to act. These 3 and Chris Voss have invested themselves and become dependable allies and resources for community advocates. The county's comprehensive study revealed the impacts the Cascadia earthquake would cause at the hub. Damage, not just local, entire city and the state. And this prompted state and later federal engagement. The county's lawsuit against fossil fuel brought national attention to the oil industry's intentional deception of how fossil fuels contribute to climate change. It cited the damages and the lives lost in the 2020 heat dome. The county released a very sobering report about 1,100 hazmat storage sites throughout the county, many of the highest risk containers located along the Willamette and Columbia rivers. In an earthquake, ruptures will cause lethal emissions with thousands of fatalities predicted, and it will compromise residents' evacuation and safety options. County actions have spurred more government action and supported community advocates. We support your pursuing a county measure to address public health needs related to the hub. We ask you, county commissioners, to collaborate with us for the greater good. Risk bonding, first outlined by the county, is now in the state legislature. This is not the product of this session alone, but the result of many years of diligent work. And the county deserves credit for shifting this from a study bill to a regulatory bill last session. The state's in the best position to regulate risk bonding, and DEQ is the ideal agency because it has strong rulemaking capacity and is already regulating the 17 largest facilities in the state. We're going to work hard to pass this. If it passes, we sincerely hope the county will contribute by seeking representation in the rulemaking. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nancy.
Good morning, thank you.
If you could just push it. Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, thank you. Vice Chair Vic Jones-Dixon and Commissioners. My name is Nikki Mandel. I'm part of the CEI Hub Task Force, a group of community advocates committed to raising public awareness of the CEI Hub, and part of the Risk Bond Coalition, a parallel group advocating for an effective risk bond regulation. I also facilitate the statewide coalition on the CEI Hub. I support your consideration of this resolution, but I strongly urge you to drop opposition to the risk bond bill currently under consideration in Salem, HB 4100-3. The county should support the state measure even as it moves forward on this parallel track. Given the misinformation around, I want to clarify why the state bill warrants your support. First, there's a date certain. If the state bill passes, all bulk fuel terminals in Multnomah County will be required to submit certificates of financial responsibility no later than March 31st, 2027. That's less than 13 months from now. Second, the county will have a seat at the rulemaking table. The bill requires that 1/3 of the Rules Advisory Committee be comprised of local government representatives. It's incumbent on you to ensure that the county is at that table, not in opposition to the work, but advocating for the most protective rules possible. Third, the bill defines liability in terms of the scope of the disaster, regardless of the triggering event. To quote from the bill, spill-related liability means the costs and damages incurred by the state of Oregon, federally recognized tribes, cities, or counties, including but not limited to spill or release response and cleanup expenses, fire damage, and natural resource damage assessments and restoration, end quote. Fourth, the level of financial assurance will be reevaluated every 3 years based on the risk posed and historical response costs. Even the initial $300 million cap per facility could translate into a $3.9 billion in total financial responsibility in 13 months that would cover just the 13 facilities in Multnomah County versus 0 today. Fifth, the state currently, right now, has the capacity and the authority to do this. DEQ's Fuel Tank Seismic Stability Program, FTSS, is already gathering and assessing seismic risks, monitoring improvements, and conducting on-site inspection for all bulk terminals in the county. DEQ has enforcement authority, and the bill requires rulemakers to establish criteria for restricting, suspending, and imposing civil penalties for noncompliance. And funding for this regulation exists. DEQ already has administrative fee authority to recoup the cost to the state of rulemaking and enforcement. Despite the failure of the county's measures in 2024, I was encouraged by Commissioner Brim Edwards' plea that risk bond protection was needed sooner, not later. We're at that long-awaited sooner, not later moment. Strong and enforceable risk bond protection could be in place in a little over a year, but we have only 3 weeks to make this a reality. I ask you to work with the community advocates to move the state bill to enactment, and then join us at the rulemaking table. Thank you, and we'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you.
And we have Lightning.
You can, or you're welcome to say, yeah.
Yes, my name is Lightning. I represent Lightning Super, Griffin, Pegasus AI Lab. You know what I find so interesting about this is that, you know, I lived on Columbia River, actually 750 feet from the bank, the farthest, pretty much the farthest floating home on the rivers as far as distance from the bank. I'd lived there over 10 years, and I had a clear understanding of the river, the waterways. Now, when we're talking these tanks, especially on the Willamette, first of all, who should be held criminally liable is the ones that allowed these tanks to even be put there. And that would be the city of Portland. They should be held criminally liable for that. And the reality is that if we're talking liability, they should be talking their insurance policies to cover this. They made the biggest mistake putting those tanks on the river that anyone could ever do. And in my opinion, it's absolute stupidity of the city. And the reality is that when those tanks, we have an earthquake, all those tanks are going to just flow right into the river. Something's going to spark. You're going to have there will be nothing left when this happens. So when you're talking these risk bonding and all this stuff, look at the Superfund site, okay? How much have you gotten taken care of? That's what you're going to have happen with this, but you'll never get anything taken care of for the next 100 years. You've got to do one of two things, and I've said this. These tanks need to be removed off these water banks, period. How do we do that? We find a site that's farther back somewhere. Plenty of room. If something happens, then we build barriers in front of these tanks, even walls, concrete walls, make sure nothing flows into the waterways. But we get them off these water banks. You will destroy this river. Everything you're talking about is after the fact the river is destroyed. Okay? That's what we're talking here. I want it done now. I want these companies to step forward. They have the money to do this. We could find a site somewhere else. We could set them up somewhere else. Then we could take all these tanks right out of here, and we could build a nice new city right there. Call it Lightning City. Okay? That's what should be happening right now. Now, we have developers that could do this. We have people with money that could do this, and they could get this done. But nobody's talking about that. I want the Lightning City developed right where these tanks are. I want them out of there. And I want the rivers to be safe and not worry about after the fact, but step in now and get it done to where we don't worry about another Superfund site for the next 100 years so it'll never be cleaned up again. And just real fast before I finish, on that case they put up on my property, they had 4 beakers in it. And what do you think they accused me of having on my property? Think about that. 4 beakers in that case. The sheriff's up there. I don't even have to tell you what they accused me of. So they could unleash on me. And they unleashed. Trust me.
There's.
That's all for public testimony?
Okay, thanks. Thank you. We will move to the board for questions. And Commissioner Singleton, we'll start with you.
I don't have questions because that would be weird for me to sponsor something and have questions about it. I do just want to address the piece around the state bill, and I think it's really important to be clear that in my conversations with Commissioner Moyer, I think we're both very supportive of a state bill. We would like that language to include the public health piece, and that's something we've advocated to have amended into the bill, and so I think that we'll continue that advocacy, continue to try and work with our state partners, but currently the way the bill reads, it covers emergency response, but not any of the public health impacts that the county would be responsible for, and so that's really a critical piece for us that's missing from the current bill. So I'm happy to talk more about that with any of the advocates who are either here or watching, because I think more people who can help support that ask, I think the better. And we have some colleagues at the state who are helping to champion that at those needed amendments as well. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Brim-Edwards, any questions or comments?
I don't have any questions. I have just brief comments. I want to thank the community members for the sustained engagement during my tenure on the commission. I think on a per capita basis, Linton probably wins the award for public comment. So I really appreciate sticking with us. And I just want to reflect back on the 2024 resolution. I did support that. I was really disappointed that it did not advance. And part of that reason at the time was I was concerned the lack of action, forward movement at the county would mean the state action would be sort of next in line, and that potentially it would be either inadequate or preempt locally what we felt we needed. I'm glad to hear the testimony today that the optimism that the state measure can be a platform and a foundation for what this county needs. So that's good news. It's usually I'm optimistic, but I wasn't optimistic that the state would necessarily do the right thing. So I'm going to support this resolution. I would also note that we have a letter that we received today signed by many of the community organizations that have been had a sustained engagement with on this issue and have been working on it for a long time. They have two requests in their letters that the commission and staff stewarding the policy recommit to a deep relationship with community safety and climate advocates, and the second is a request that the Office of Sustainability be reintegrated into the development of policy. Both of these requests I'm supportive of, and I know that there's been lots of engagement by the commission offices that are moving this with the community, and I believe it's true that in the resolution there calls out the Office of Sustainability, so in the forward work, so I think those commitments will be met, and I'm really supportive and hopeful. I was a bit of an Eeyore when I went to the state because they often have a preempt local governments in ways that are not positive. So in this particular case, it sounds like we have forward movement and need a little bit more modifications, but if those are made, that we should be making forward progress. So I'm supportive of the resolution and thank the commissioners for bringing it forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Brim-Edwards. Commissioner Moyer, any comments or questions?
Don't have any questions.
I know.
And I feel like the next steps, I really appreciate that our staff is under a lot of pressure right now due to budget constraints. And so I really want to thank everybody who we engaged with and continue to engage with related to this next step, and acknowledge that this is an additional amount of work, and I sincerely appreciate the level of engagement even when things are challenging internally. I thank our COO for his willingness to help drive this process forward and figure out how to get the answers that we're seeking. And again, I'm just grateful that we are continuing to focus on this issue, which is not only important to my district and Commissioner Singleton's district, but I think has really significant regional concern. And just reiterate our commitment that this is a step to get to an ordinance We even lay out the framework of that ordinance, so we're very clear about the direction we're going, and really want the community to know that, and you can see this in the ordinance, that once we have some of the answers that need a little bit deeper dive and some technical expertise, it really needs to move into a framework where stakeholders of all sorts, particularly those most likely to be impacted, have a seat at the table. And I think that you can see that in the framework of the ordinance. So I want to make that clear that, yes, this action starts with some internal work to get us toward that ordinance, and then really, I thank the community, because without them, I don't know if this issue would have ever risen to multiple governments trying to tackle it. So I appreciate that, and I continue to commit to stakeholders having a seat at the table as we figure out how we're going to implement this and make sure that we do everything in Multnomah County's authority to prevent and respond to a crisis. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Moyer. I don't have any questions or comments outside of just thank you for just for your work on this, and also to our neighbors just for your advocacy, and staff as well for your commitment. And thank you, colleagues, for bringing this forward. Emily, can we move forward with a roll call vote?
Commissioner Moyer?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Brim Edwards? Yes. Vice Chair Jones Dixon?
Yes. Resolution passes unanimously. Thank you. At this time, and thank you, Hayden, again. At this time, we're going to move to just board comments or updates before we adjourn. Commissioner Moyer, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be brief and just give a bit of an update related to something I said whenever Director Bader was honored. But just to follow up on that, one of the things that we have worked on, and I have really appreciated the support from both the commission, the chair, and multiple departments, is this belief that access to behavioral health services and supports are vital to address people who are experiencing homelessness in our community. It has been a lot of work from a lot of different people from all different departments to really dig in to solving problems that require convincing other partners that they need to be part of the solution. I cannot thank the staff of Multnomah County and my fellow commissioners for joining me on my crazy Medicaid rants and helping to fight so that people who experience severe mental illness and need support services can have those support services, hopefully in a way that helps them be independent and self-directed long-term. And as I mentioned previously, we have received information. I've not gotten the letter yet, although I have been promised it in writing. We did receive information from the governor's office that they will be working with us to expand those services. And that is, to me, probably the thing that I have worked the most on, because I think we all see people in our community every day who we know that a roof over their head is an important step, but the supports that are needed to be able to sustain that have been really difficult to get in place. And so I'm really, really grateful to everybody who has worked really hard on figuring out how we can get services for people so that they remain independent. And I leave knowing that this is not the end, but actually the beginning of the hard work of implementation. And I am so, so grateful for the willingness of all the departments that have been involved to try to crack what has been an incredibly difficult nut, not just for Multnomah County, but around the state. And so I just shout out to all the people. I hope you all know who you are. I know who you are, who have made endless phone calls and letters and conversations with colleagues at the state. Thank you. I don't think we would be on the verge of figuring out how to actually implement this if it were not for you. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Vice Chair. And thank you, Commissioner Moyer. I completely agree. Could be a game changer for us. I just want to start in the spirit of the 100th Black History Month with a quote from Angela Davis. I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept. On Monday, February 16th, Dr. Linda Davis, a Black woman in Savannah, Georgia, was killed in a car crash that involved a man fleeing from ICE agents during morning rush hour. This story is heartbreaking due to how preventative this death was. ICE was in violation of local authority laws when they engaged in this high-speed chase. This man, who had no criminal record, should not have been being pursued by masked people. Given how many instances have resulted in death, I have no doubt that the immigrant man feared for his life. Keep in mind, this all took place near a school. These types of bounty hunter tactics should not be used anywhere, let alone in a school zone. My condolences go out to Dr. Davis's family and the community. From February 2nd to the 16th, there have been 14 detentions in Oregon. It appears more than 10 of those detentions took place in Multnomah County. PIRC has also reported that about 7 of the 14 took place during check-in at the ICE facility. This makes for a total of 93 detentions in Oregon in 2026. While there may be fewer detentions happening every month right now, we know that Congress has to take up the DHS budget. I stand in solidarity with my district and many others saying no more money for ICE, not one more cent. Funding this $85 billion campaign rooted in cruelty, xenophobia, and racism does not make our community safer. I encourage others to call their congressional leaders to express your feelings. They need to know how strongly we feel. I've also received emails advocating for holding ICE agents accountable locally. I am in full support of prosecuting federal agents who break our laws, inflict violence, and cause fear in our communities. It is important for folks to hear that their elected officials hear you when community members are saying that we are being terrorized on the streets by our government. As a Black woman, I do not believe that we can meet oppression from our federal government with apathy or nihilism. Our silence will not keep us safe, and they only have the power that we give them. I want to thank our AG Rayfield for how he has continued to show up. He is leading or joining more than 50 lawsuits against this authoritarian regime, and his office has spoken out strongly against federal agents using excessive force and has encouraged witnesses to submit evidence to the state DOJ through a specific form you can access on his website that I will have up on my county website as well. This one's hard, so give me a second. On Monday, we lost a true warrior and champion with the passing of Miss Avell Gordley. Rest in power, Miss Avell. You have single-handedly changed the lives of so many people here. Meeting you changed my life, and you will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Brim Edwards.
Thank you. Just 2 items. One, just noting that we've filed the deflection resolution for next week's consideration. And I want to just thank the Health Department and the Pathways Center staff for their feedback and engagement of the resolution. Secondly, I would just like to request, we had some testimony earlier about the animal service, the animal shelter, and a recent outbreak, and I'd just like to ask staff to just provide an update. It's my understanding that staff did report it first, and as soon as they found out about it, so just it would be helpful to get that information so that we all know sort of the sequence of events. It's my understanding, though, that the MCAS staff and county staff responded quickly in alerting authorities of the outbreak. And then finally, I just want to wish everyone health, happiness, and prosperity in the year of the fire horse. We're kicking off, and I'll just say over the next couple weeks, there's lots of celebrations happening in the Jade District and District 3, but all over the county.
Great. I just wanted to actually build off of what you've mentioned already regarding Senator Gordly. I've had the opportunity to sit with her just a handful of times, and I just remember I just sat and listened. So I stayed up till like 2 o'clock thinking about her and then Mr. Carl Goodman as well. So just want to read a few remarks. We speak of leadership today because we have just lost one of Oregon's greatest architects of justice. Senator Gordly passed away, as we know, on Monday at the age of 79, born in Albina and delivered by the pioneering Dr. Unthank. Senator Gordly was the first Black woman elected to the Oregon State Senate. She lived by the motto, lifting as we climb. She understood that physical spaces often try to erase our history. There is a story of a photograph, a 1953 image of the passage of Oregon's landmark civil rights law. For years, that photo was relegated to the basement of the Capitol, then hidden behind a coat rack. Senator Gordly didn't just complain, she took action. She invited House Speaker Karen Minnis on a walk through that building, pointing out the images of white pioneers while noting the absence of black Oregonians who helped build this state. Moved by Senator Gordly's integrity, the Speaker helped her move that photo to its rightful place, outside the House chambers. Senator Gordly taught us that our history belongs in the light. That same spirit of lifting as we climb was the North Star for Mr. Carl Goodman, who served here at the county for over almost 4 decades, 38 years. He gave 38 years of his life to Multnomah County. Growing up in segregated Little Rock, Mr. Goodman took his mother's advice to be part of the solution. In the 1980s, he established the African American program at the Department of Community Justice. He saw that the disproportionate impact of the system on his community and decided to build a bridge where there was a wall. He was a mentor to many of the leaders sitting in this building today. He was the man walking gang hotspots with a connected group and the visionary who founded the Harriet Tubman Athletic Association. Mr. Goodman didn't seek the spotlight. He worked in a quiet way for the forward movement of people of color. When he retired as director of the Adult Services Division in 2013, he left us here at the county a roadmap for how to pursue justice with empathy. I just want to call out his service was just yesterday. I never had the opportunity to meet Mr. Goodman, but clearly his fingerprints are all over DCJ. So I just wanted to acknowledge his passing as well this month. And then lastly, I just want to give a shout out to the Portland Trailblazers. For the last few years, they've been hosting an HBCU at night. So they have 2 HBCUs here. It's called HBCU to the Pros. So Southern University is here and Prairie View A&M. So there's an event at Portland Community College. Come there if you haven't been to an HBCU game and you want to listen to live band music and see dancers and cheerleaders, and taking my daughter because she wants to go to Southern. She's only a freshman. Southern produces amazing human beings. The chief of staff for former Commissioner Loretta Smith graduated from Southern University, and same with our chief of our fire department as well. So I just want to say again, thank you to the Blazers for hosting them, and just want to say welcome to folks that are coming from down south. And again, just thank you to all the staff for just your relentless just service to our community. I know it's going to be a fairly tough budget season, but just want to again express my gratitude to every single person that calls Multnomah County home for work. Any other comments before we adjourn? On that note, we are adjourned. Our next meeting is on Tuesday. Thank you again.